Hi, welcome to Chapter 2. I want to briefly go over what you will be learning the next 2 weeks and hope to accomplish. Chapter 2 is a review of the accounting process and really key accounting, fundamental accounting concepts that you should have learned from your introductory accounting classes. You should be able to take what's called an economic event, which is basically a transaction, and the steps that are taken to actually make that transaction end up in the financial statements. I have allotted 2 weeks for this chapter because I believe it is so important to really truly understand these concepts. These concepts are going to be, taking a transaction, putting into a journal entry, creating an unadjusted trial balance, post your adjusting journal entry to a new trial balance to your financial statements. As you move forward with this class, and if you move forward with Accounting 202B or whichever intermediate accounting class you take, the concepts are going to just get more difficult, especially in the second half of the intermediate accounting course. It is really important that you know how for any given transaction, that you know that, oh, this should be a debit and this should be my credit, and not even have to think about it. I equate it to knowing your multiplication tables that you learned in elementary school. So if you read a transaction and you say, oh, there's a sale on account, you should immediately know debit AR, accounts receivable, credit sales. It shouldn't have to be a thought process. And again, this course is going to get more difficult, and the transactions that you're going to encounter are going to be more difficult. So in this chapter goes through the 10-step accounting cycle. It goes through it in one chapter, whereas in your intro accounting, this was spread out over several chapters. But again, like I said, it goes from gathering information from a source document for external transactions, to analyzing them, to recording the entries, posting them to the GL, preparing an unadjusted trial balance, and so on and so forth, till you can prepare your financial statements, and then you close out your temporary income statement accounts and dividend accounts to prepare a post-closing trial balance. The key concepts to master in this chapter are, again, the journal entries and knowing which accounts are affected, the types of adjusting entries, such as there's accrual and deferrals, and prepaids are adjusting entries, and learn how to post those adjusting entries into the trial balance, which formulates the income statement, your balance sheet, statement of shareholders' equity, and your cash flow statement. In this chapter, you'll also be going over the cash basis versus accrual basis. The cash basis is when revenue and expenses are recognized when cash is exchanged. So when you receive cash, that's when you record your sales. When you pay cash is when you record your expenses. Under the accrual basis, that's not the case. Revenues and expenses are recognized when they're earned and incurred. There's a video that I have posted about the conversion process of how to take your cash basis accrual or prepaid and turn it into how to figure out the accrual basis amount. So for this week, or the next 2 weeks, I've assigned as homework, I have created the 4-step video going through a very comprehensive problem, I should say, I can't even say that, very comprehensive problem that starts at the unadjusted trial balance point, and we go through and post the entries, post the accounts to T accounts, go through the entries, year-end and adjusting entries, create adjusted trial balance, post those to T accounts, learn how to do the closing process, and then also prepare financial statements. I have covered that in 4 different videos because otherwise the video would be so long. I have also included a video, as I mentioned, from the cash basis to the accrual basis. So those are just videos for you to watch. For homework, I have assigned these concept videos, which are prepared by McGraw-Hill, and they cover the 10-step accounting cycle. I think it does a good job reviewing it all to refresh your memory, and it asks that there are some questions you have to answer just to make sure that you have watched the video. They are not, trying to stump you. They're pretty easy. So we're going to have that cash to accrual conversion and a comprehensive problem I spoke about. You're going to have homework. So your concept videos are homework. I've assigned some other problems as your homework. Your SmartBook adaptive learning, and you're going to take a quiz for chapter 2. There's also, I'm just going to post this really fun video that you're going to think is really lame, but if you have trouble remembering the debit side and credit side, this is the video for you. It's just going to get stuck in your head and you're going to know debits on the left, credits on the right. I cannot emphasize enough how important these goals are for this chapter. If you accomplish these goals, you will have such an easier time with the rest of the semester, next semester, and when you go into an accounting job. Be comfortable with your journal entries and account classifications. Understand how those transactions end up in a financial statement, and be able to analyze, record, and do whatever you need to do with those transactions. I highly recommend, if you do have trouble or are not as comfortable with the journal entries, knowing which accounts you should be debiting, which accounts you should be crediting, and is this a debt, is this particular transaction action is this account a debit or a credit? I highly recommend you go online, work up some problems, there's lots of YouTube videos. You should be really, really comfortable. Good luck.